especially with how many people claim to be Christians or claim to be walking with the Lord and really just aren't walking that life. It kind of leaves them wondering, like, what does it actually mean to be a Christian? What is this supposed to look like?
Welcome to this week's episode of the His Hill Podcast. My name is Kelly Doherty, and I'm your host. So we have a fun, I think, edition today. We are in the middle of summer camp, high school week, and I have three of our high school campers with us. I'll just be giving you their first names, but we have Cohen and Bryn and Pierce. Cohen and Pierce are actually brothers. I've known them since they were tiny things, and so it's good to see them all grown up and looking like adults and being here with us. Bryn, I kind of know. Her face is very familiar to me because she's been, how many years have you been a camper?
11.
Okay, wow. So
Yeah.
I should kind of know. And I know her sister, who actually has been on the podcast just recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ashlyn was here just maybe 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Giving
like that.
giving her testimony. So, guys, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Cohen, how old are you?
I'm 17.
You're 17. Pierce?
16.
16. And Bryn, did you say how old you were? Just how many years?
18.
You're 18. Okay. Now, Bryn, you've just graduated.
Yes.
And Pierce, you're going into 11th
Mm-hmm.
grade, and Cohen 12th.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Bryn, you said 11 years as a camper.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. And Cohen, you've been here a while too.
Yes, sir. I've been here for 8 years.
8 years. And Pierce?
7 or 8, yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, well, thanks for coming. Thanks for doing this. What we want to do, these guys all fit in to the Gen Z. We were laughing about it because Pierce is barely there. He's according to those who are in the know, and we're not sure who those are, he's the tail end of Alpha, he's the tail end of Z, beginning of Alpha. But he fits in, so that works. Just a few things that we wanted to go through, just asking them about, issues of their generation, things that they have seen, and just, how, what are their thoughts on how these things should be dealt with. But before we do that, I want to give them a chance to tell you a little bit about themselves. So let's do ladies first, okay? Let's start with Bryn. Bryn, where are you from?
I'm originally from Midland, Texas, so out in West Texas, but I've lived in Dallas, in a city about 45 minutes north of Dallas, for basically my whole life after that.
Okay. And do you come from a Christian home?
See, that's a complicated question for my family. My mom is a Christian, and it was important for us to grow up in Christian faith. And, we went to church and all that kind of stuff when I was young. But as I've gotten older, it definitely feels like I've grown up not so much in a Christian home, but I've still been pushed by my mom to follow Christ. So it's not your typical, mom and dad are both Christians. Everyone goes to church on Sunday. My family, it's kind of like I do my own stuff with my religion almost.
Okay. All right. And how did you become a believer?
It was here, really. My great-grandparents are incredible believers, and they have been around this camp for a long time, since basically the camp has been around, helping out and whatnot. And they send all my cousins and myself to camp every summer, hoping that we find Christ. And it was here when I was 9 that I first remember truly accepting Christ and putting him in my life and asking him to abide and for me to abide with him and whatnot. So
okay, great. Okay, now with the brothers, let's do age first. Okay, so Cohen, now tell us where you're from.
I'm from just north of Lafayette, Louisiana, South Louisiana. I was born and raised over there. I've been going to church my whole life. I was saved at about 5 or 6 in my Sunday school class. It's kind of niche, but I didn't really know what it meant. And it's kind of like the story that a lot of Christians tend to have, is they get saved young, and then they figure out what it is actually later. So, I was about 12 or 13 when I actually was, knowing what Christianity was and, starting to walk my walk. And then a little bit after that, I fell into some stuff, wasn't good, came out of that stuff, and now I'm back on my way, which is very nice.
All right. And how you said what, 8 years as a camper?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, you and Pierce, you're from. I mean, to you guys, it's just normal, but everybody brings it up all the time. Is that you come from a large family?
Yes, sir.
There's 8 kids, and when you travel, is basically you travel in a bus. It was really something to watch, because we actually went to church together for a while when my family was in Louisiana. So let's go to Pierce now. When did you become a believer?
I'm pretty sure I gave my life to the Lord at about 7 in a Sunday school class also, but I don't know that it was until I was 12 or 13, and whenever I started really hungering for the Lord and looking for Him and seeing what that means. And then recently, in the past year or two, I feel like I've really grown a whole lot in my faith, especially because of his. So, but yeah.
Okay. And of course, I didn't ask either one of you, but you guys do come from a Christian family.
Mm-hmm.
Your parents are strong believers. I know them personally, and so I know that you've had that example, in your life, your whole life. That truth and peace is found in Christ alone.
Yes, sir.
And that's it's been a privilege to know your family and to watch that. Okay, so now, because we're pressed for time, because we have to get you guys to your next activity, we need to just jump right in here. There's some things that I found online about your generation, and thought it would be interesting to get your thoughts, your perspective on these things. So something that apparently your generation is having to deal with a lot is just mental health struggles. Okay. Have any of you experienced this, or have you observed this in other people your age?
I definitely experienced it myself. I was diagnosed with OCD when I was very young, and I wish I could say it's something that I can handle on my own, but unfortunately it's very obvious that my brain just can't, live without a little bit of help. So I do seek some mental health therapy. I do take some mental health medications and whatnot, just to kind of keep me safe is the mindset I like to keep with it. But
okay. What are the positives, and are there any negatives that you're having to deal with all of this?
Yeah, well, I'm very grateful. I have received Christ-centered therapy. My therapist that I've seen for a while, I don't see her anymore, but she was a Christ-centered therapist, and she, wove Christ into what we would talk about and how I can handle what I'm going through. And that was amazing to have that option and to have that help. And because to me, yes, I do the therapy and I do the medication and all that kind of stuff, but it truly is my faith with the Lord and my walk with the Lord that I find the most peace with.
Okay.
With my OCD, I tend to have a lot of just crazy thoughts about death and just all these things that are really scary to, have just come in your brain and you can't swipe them away. That's the only thing I can say. They just come in and I can't do anything about it. But having that peace of I know I'm going to have eternal life, and I know God knows where I'm going to end up and all that kind of stuff, that has given me more peace than I feel like the medications and whatnot has. And I feel like that is okay.
Right.
I think a lot of nowadays, they really push the therapies and the medications, which are important and they do help. But I do think that there should be more of a push of finding truth, because finding the truth is really what has set me on the right path with all of this.
That's interesting, because that's what we're going to talk about in chapel tonight. It's truth. Yeah. Now, okay, all of you, have you observed this as being something that's common with your generation?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Really? Okay, all three of you. Okay.
Especially in the field of depression, I feel like.
Okay.
I feel like that's very spread through us.
Okay.
Especially since the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's gotten worse since the pandemic. Yeah.
Okay, how so? What are the things that you're seeing specifically?
People just, everything online, and they spend so much time alone. They don't really, go out in communities as much anymore. I feel like people have become a little bit more selfish in a way, and I think that people are affected by selfishness and the lack of empathy that's kind of come about.
Is that something that any of you have had to guard against yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, Bryn. Okay, well, no, that's helpful because we hear things and we read things, but it's different to sit down and talk with people, and to get a better understanding, a better idea of these things. Do any of you know of people who are getting counseling that is not Christ-centered, not Christ-based?
I probably know somebody, but
but you don't know that you know. Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know that that's what they're going through.
Okay, and Bryn, you have. Okay.
Yeah.
Have you seen? Has that been an encouragement to you to see how they're coming out of that, or does it concern you in any way?
It's always encouraging knowing that what I've gone through myself and the trials and tribulations that I've really experienced that have been very, very hard in my life. It's encouraging to see people get the help that they need, because I do still think there is a stigma around it when I feel like there shouldn't be. But I definitely feel like the ones that I see that tend to truly have joy and peace within are the ones that are Christians and are believers. Not that, these people who are getting non-Christian help or who aren't believers aren't, like, their help isn't as good or anything, but I do notice that it almost like I hate saying this way, but it's like it's always Christians. It's always the Christians who are smiling and going around. Yeah. That's what I meant.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting. Okay. Another thing that I found was digital overload and social media pressure.
Yeah.
And specifically, constant connectivity leads to information fatigue, comparison culture, and cyberbullying.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Pierce, you're over there. What how have you observed this?
I think just with how much people are on in technology these days, and how much time they spend in that, and how much effort they put into that. Like you said, comparison. That's what it was. I think that's partially why a whole lot of people put so much effort into their time on their technology and things like that. But comparison it's definitely not only through technology, like it's spreading through into just our world.
So it's leaving that pseudo world, that pretend world, and coming right into your
I find that it is.
Okay.
I feel like a whole lot of people are comparing them things over little things that don't really matter too much, but it seems to matter to them. And that they feel like they have the need to be at the same level or better than somebody else.
Have any of you had to fight this yourself?
I have. I've found myself in struggling through pride and stuff like that. But
okay, Cohen, you say you have too?
Yeah, I've just watching people or watching supposed Christians on social media, just seeing their stories or seeing their daily posts and being like, I don't think that that's right. Or if they say something that messes up, I'm like, oh, well, that's clearly not right. Then I'm better than you are. And you just in my mind, I take that and I'm like, well, that means I'm a better Christian. So I'm above this person because they messed up this one time and they made it public. So I'm better.
Okay.
That's what I've seen. So
okay. Yeah. Do any of you take part in online conversations? Do you comment on posts? Do you challenge people?
I comment on some YouTube videos sometimes, but that's the extent of what I do. That's it.
Okay. Is that something your generation just isn't really into? You're fine with looking at it, but you don't have anything to say?
I would say it's particularly just this little group right here. It's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Wrong group. Okay.
Yeah, I think there's a whole lot of our generation that is not scared to open their mind, whether they're right or wrong, on all kinds of things.
Yeah. And I don't think it's commenting things. I think reposting it on the story, showing your friends, reposting something similar. I think that's more so what's happening than just commenting. I think people going back to the pandemic after thing, everyone kind of being a little more lonely. I think people are too afraid to comment on stuff nowadays.
Okay, well, that's interesting because my next question was going to be, how do you see it affecting your generation? and well, let's start with that. How do you see it affecting your generation?
I would say it kind of brought down self-control, because being like having the ability to just comment and not having that comment attached to your actual name, like who you actually are, because it's not really, nobody's going to look at that and be like, oh, I know exactly who this guy is. I know what he commented. Like there's thousands of people that are looking at the exact same thing, and they'll see your comment and they'll just read it. But it gives you that false sense of security because you said it, but nobody can track it back to you. So it's just out there, you know?
So you can be anonymous.
Basically, yeah.
So it's like that saying, say it on a screen, or you can say it to my face. And no one wants to say it to your
Yeah.
face, but they can say it on a screen because it's like it's protecting. It's a wall in
Yeah.
their eyes.
How is that a bad thing?
I think people start to do that in their life, whether they realize it or not. They start to do that to the people around them. They start to not really care as much like what they're saying, and then that even spreads into whoever they're saying it to. They start to it all feeds off of each other, I think.
Okay. So it kind of handicaps relationships?
It's kind of like how you said
Yeah.
earlier with how it kind of leaks out of that pseudo world, how it like is going to the real world. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's keep going. Now, this is one that I was thinking, should I ask them this? I mean, they're in high school. It can't be. But then we were going through this list before we started to record, and I found, it actually is. Okay, so this one is economic uncertainties, and specifically dealing with this list I have. It says many Gen Zers entered adulthood during or after the COVID-19 pandemic, with disrupted education and job perspectives. Concerns about student debt, inflation, housing affordability, and job stability are major stresses. Bren, you said that this was affecting you. How so?
Yeah, so right now, I feel like one of the things that's been fogging up my brain a lot is my future and whatnot. And I keep telling, I don't know exactly where I'm going to school yet. I'm taking a gap year and attending Capernway Hall in England, another Torchbearers center, before I go off to school. But I've told so many people in my life that where I'm going to school is going to be where it's going to be the cheapest option, because I really am not a fan of going into debt for college, but I feel like it's inevitable. Like, I feel like it's just inevitable that you're going to have to pay student loans the rest of your life. And that's not very fun. That's not exciting. So
Does it make you uptight?
a little, yeah, it's stressful. I've always been a person that has struggled with wanting to know every detail of my future, wanting to have everything planned out.
Hence the
And-
OCD.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
You can see it. You see, when I tell people I have it, they start to be like, "Oh, that's why." I'm like,
Yeah,
"Yes, yeah." And you know, it is something that I do pray about a lot. Like, hey, Lord, like, you know, this is your life that you are living through me. Like, guide me. You know what's going to happen. But I do worry a lot. It has kept me up a little bit at night, just trying to think about, you know, what are my next steps? Where am I going to fit in? And am I going to be able to afford it? Because it's unfortunately just seems like it's only getting more expensive, and it just seems like jobs are just getting more and more scarce.
Okay.
So
Okay. Boys, how about you? Does this affect you, or do you have friends that you're seeing this with?
College is something that I've thought about I've thought about it pretty deeply, because my mom really would like to push me to go to college because I do great in school, but I've thought about what I want to do and the things that I'd like to do, and I don't know that I need to go to college to get that. And then also just watching Preston walk this out right now, our other brother.
Your other brother.
One of the many.
Okay.
He was applied for Louisiana Tech, and he was doing the math. Even with 2 scholarships, it was still way out of reach.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it just puts that on my mind for my future and what my future will look like after high school.
Just to defend your mom a little bit, your mom is not one that believes that everyone has to go to college. You know, she wants you guys. I know your mom.
Yeah.
She would want you to be sensitive to what the Lord has for you.
Yeah.
And I know you weren't trying to say that,
Yeah.
but I want to make sure the listeners know that about your mom. She's a great lady. How about you, Colin?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Just does this economic uncertainty. Has this affected you in any way, or do you have any friends that you know of that have had to deal with this?
I would say it's affected me and people around me mentally, because having the economy being the way that it was, or the way that it is currently, and like all the...
Especially in Louisiana.
Yes, especially in Louisiana.
Because just so people understand, Louisiana lives and dies on the price of oil.
Yeah.
And it collapsed about 10 years ago, and it hasn't come back yet.
So, like I said, so the economy part it's kind of like with the stuff going on in the government right now, with them like trying to figure out what they want to do with the gas and oil industry, because electric stuff is on the rise or whatever. With that stuff, there's a lot of people that are really scared about the economy around where we are, like it just dropping through and it not coming back, and then we wouldn't have anything. We'd be just stuck there with malls, I guess. I mean,
all the Dollar Generals.
Yeah, all the Dollar Generals.
Okay, thanks. Okay, the next one, climate anxiety. So with this one's a deep concern about the climate change and the environment, often feeling like older generations aren't doing enough. And there's this eco-anxiety. It can lead to activism, but also feelings of hopelessness or powerlessness. Does that ring true to any of you or anybody you know in your age group?
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
No, you're good. Okay, so I would say as a Christian, I've kind of felt the whole the ecosystem thing.
Yeah.
Because in Genesis, we're supposed to multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. So we're supposed to be like the keepers of the earth. We're supposed to keep it clean, which
we're supposed to be stewards of,
yes,
of creation,
which we aren't doing a great job of, unfortunately. That's kind of I'm on the point where I'm like, I want to do something about it, but there's not really much I can do about it. Especially like me just being me. Like I can't really I can't solve that many problems, you know.
Okay, so this is something that you've noticed that you've thought on. Has it caused anxiety?
A little bit. I think that it's more like, I think it's like the anxiety of, especially going back to where we are, because there's so much pollution in Louisiana because of either people dumping trash on the street or all the oil refineries pumping all their gas in the air and whatnot. I think it's like, I don't want the earth to be damaged because of it.
Okay.
Like, I don't want our ecosystem to fail, because Louisiana's beautiful. And I'm sure you can attest to that.
Yeah, sure.
Like, you can go as far as you want to the middle of nowhere in Cajun country, and if you sit there and wait for the sunset, it's going to be absolutely beautiful.
And it's green all year round.
Exactly, yeah. And if we don't take care of it and that dies, then we're just left with a wasteland of dead grass and trash, which I don't like that. It's not. It gets on my nerves, I guess.
So it does cause anxiety. Bryn, how about you?
Well, I am a big outdoors person, and we talked about this before, but as I've kind of reflected on what we were talking about before, I remembered this kind of little, not story, but I recently in late May got to visit Canada for my senior trip.
What part?
So we stayed in Golden, BC, and then we got to travel to Banff and Lake Louise and Alberta and whatnot.
So the ugliest part?
Yeah, absolutely. just unbelievably ugly. No, I'm kidding. Actually, quite opposite. It was
it is
one of the most beautiful sights I've ever seen in my life. And, I'm from Dallas, Texas, right? So I see a lot of trees and a lot of grass, and that's about it. So I remember I was climbing up the summit of Lake Louise, and I was at a point where I could see over this beautiful teal lake, and my thought was like, wow, like what an incredible thing the Lord has created. It is so beautiful. And then as I'm sitting there, I just see a piece of trash rolling in the wind, and I just kind of had this thought of like, that's just sad. I wish, obviously, like what Cohen said, it does feel like a little bit of helplessness, because what am I, one person, going to do about it? It is definitely a group effort. But I try my best to, recycle, throw away my trash properly, try to use a little less plastic here and there. But it is when you're in those moments and you have those, you see those sights that are just like breathtaking, and it's one of the most beautiful things you see in your life. It really puts into perspective of like, wow, I really want this to exist in 10, 20, 30 years, and I can show my kids this maybe one day and whatnot. So,
okay, thanks, Pierce. What about you?
Like Colin was saying, in Louisiana, I feel like there's a lack of concern for our ecosystem, honestly, because there's an abundance of trash in our ditches.
Yeah, there is.
It is kind of frustrating, honestly, to see that. And you can go through and pick up however many ditches full of trash as you want in a day, and then in a couple of weeks, it's the exact same way it was before. But
okay, all right, good. I'm not really. And with this, I'm not really looking for answers from you. We'll talk about more of that in a second. But I want to know: is this what's going on within your generation? How are these things actually things that you're dealing with? So let's move on. How about now? Pierce, you and I jokingly talked about this just a second ago. But for all of you, do you sense an education pressure?
yeah.
Okay. How so?
I think we live in a time where it's not just school anymore. Like, it's school, but it's, okay, are you taking on-level or advanced classes or AP classes, or are you doing dual credit, or are you...
Okay, everybody's nodding their head right now. Okay.
And it's kind of refreshing hearing, like Charlie talking about going to school and whatnot, and I'm like, oh, I wish I went to school in a time where it was just you go to class and you go home and then you do your homework and that's it. Now it's like, okay, well, I take this high-level class and I have to take this test, but if I don't take this class, then my GPA can drop and I might not get into this school, and my class rank, and my counselor's saying all these things to me. It's a time where it definitely feels like there's just so much pressure to just do more, but obviously the more you add on, the more stress you get, because you're still like you're expected to take those high level classes, and then you're also expected to be in a million extracurriculars, and you're expected to work a job, and you're expected to have a social life. It's overwhelming. It's so much stuff that's expected.
Okay, guys, we're getting real pressed on time now, so I'm just going to ask you: have you sensed pressure with this?
I believe I have. Just because for a long time, I've had a high GPA, and I've at times whenever it just hardly even drops, I put the pressure on myself, I find, just to keep that where it's been and just remaining where it is.
Okay,
I guess.
Okay, Colin.
I would say generationally, yeah, it's definitely more pressed. Like what Brendan was saying earlier about how schools are so expensive now for you to actually go to college. It's so pressed for you to have that point to where you can actually get scholarships, to where you can get into the schools and actually not get out and have like $100,000 worth of debt that you can't pay off within a couple of years.
Good if you have 1,000.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That and I get that. That would be my generation wouldn't be able to function with that kind of pressure. Okay. Let's see. We're really close on time. How far do I want to go with these things? This one was interesting to me, okay? And when I saw it, and then when I talked to you briefly about it before we recorded, political and social polarization. Now, definitely I see this in older generations. I know it's in my generation. But I got to tell you the truth, guys. When I was in school, we didn't give a flying rip. I mean, we all had our ideas, but we really didn't care, about each other with it. It was fine, whatever, But it doesn't seem to be true with your generation. Is there actually political and social polarization going on within your generation?
I think there is, but I also think that there's a level of exhaustion. Like, it's a lot. Like, and I remember during election cycle this past year, I remember just every single day I'd wake up and it's all I'd hear about, and it was so exhausting just to it constantly be in your ears and whatnot. So I think with our generation, there's just this level of they're just over it in a way. They're tired of it of life just revolving around politics. It's very tiring.
Okay.
To hear
And you
about.
guys, I know in Louisiana, politically, the area that you live in is probably one of the more conservative areas of the state.
Yeah.
And so, do you see? I mean, you guys are going to. You guys go. I didn't say this, but Bryn, you go to public school,
Yes.
and guys, you're going to a private school, but it's homeschool. It's kind of official homeschool in a building. It's a hybrid, but it's run by Christians. But you told me that probably if I remember right, the majority of people that attend the school are not Christian.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting. I know the owners. I know where they stand on these things. One of them is in a constant text thread with me, and we're always talking about these things. So I know where he stands. Are there people? Are there students in the school that don't necessarily agree with that? And do they not feel? Do you think they feel like they can't express what they think?
I would say on the contrary, actually.
Really?
I would say that there's some in the school that they actually do express it.
Okay.
And it's kind of at the point to where they express it, but you just kind of let it be because there's not really anything you can really do. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Is there a polarization?
A little bit. It depends on who it is, but yeah,
Okay.
I would say so. Yeah.
Okay, good. Not good that that's the case, but okay. Let's go move on to the last thing now. Spiritual confusion and disinterest. Okay, are you seeing that within your generation, Pierce?
Confusion. On the confusion, I think that a lot of people find themselves to just be lost in all of the different ideas and things, especially with how many people claim to be Christians or claim to be walking with the Lord and really just aren't walking that life. It kind of leaves them wondering, what does it actually mean to be a Christian? What is this supposed to look like?
Okay.
And things
Bryn?
like that.
Yeah. I've gone to public school, K through 12, and I know a lot of people, I know a lot of Christians. I've known Jewish people. I've known Muslim people. I've seen, I've known atheists. I've seen a lot of the spectrum, especially as I've gotten older. And I definitely agree with Pierce in the sense that there is a lot, and it goes back to the persona on social media thing. There's a lot of people who on social media, they, put on this persona that, they are walking with the Lord, and everyone has their own personal walk and own personal convictions, and I would never want to make anyone feel unwelcomed or judged based off of how they're walking in their faith. But it is a little frustrating sometimes to see people who claim to be so energetically Christian, which is an amazing thing, but then offline and out of the point of view, they're really not living in the sense that they should. And it's kind of one of the things where we're learning the same things in church. So it's kind of are you putting on this persona, or are you really truly trying to walk with the Lord? And I pray about those people a lot. And I always kind of hope that one day they will truly come to their senses. And I've actually talked to a few of them about Bible school. Because me talking about going to Bible school, they're like, what is that? And I'm like, oh, I got you. This is an amazing thing. This is great. You don't have to go to school yet. You can go study and be with the Lord for a year, and it's amazing. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, I want to keep talking, but I just got a text from our assistant camp director saying, how's it going?
Please come back.
We're just finishing it now. I want to finish with this. I appreciate your openness. I appreciate you guys, just answering these questions. And for the listeners, hopefully gives us some perspective, some understanding of how we can be praying for this generation, these people that are just getting out of high school, are just finished, are getting close to being out, and the things that they're having to face in life. And what I want to leave this episode with is a thought that Christ gives us in Matthew chapter 6. he begins in verse 25 by saying, "For this reason I say to you, do not be worried about your life, as to what you will eat or what you will drink, nor for your body as to what you will put on. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air, that they do not sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not worth much more than they?" He goes on in verse 31 to say, "Do not worry then, saying, what will we eat? Or what will we drink? Or what will we wear for clothing? For the Gentiles eagerly seek all these things. For your heavenly, listen to this, your heavenly Father knows that you need all these things." And so what is our place? But seek first his kingdom. And I believe that means seek first Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Seek his kingdom, his righteousness, and all these things that he knows we need will be added to you. Isn't that a great promise?
Reminds me of Charlie in chapel exalting. This is great news.
Rejoicing.
Yes.
Rejoice.
That is, yeah. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate you giving me this time.
Thank you.
We have 2 more weeks of summer camp left, and then our summer staff will head out to do the next thing God has called them to. This summer has been memorable in many ways, and as always, the thought of saying goodbye is hard for the volunteers we've had this camp season. Please be praying for them as they prepare for the end of camp and step into the next thing God has called them to, and that they head out with peace and assurance that He will go with them. Thank you again for joining us this week for another episode of the His Hill podcast. Don't forget to keep your eyes fixed on Christ. I'm Lizzie, and we'll see you next week.